Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're getting into unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs. Now, this isn't exactly a new topic. It's been around for ages. But suddenly it feels like it's everywhere again.
It really does. There's been a noticeable shift in the conversation.
Yeah, and we've sifted through the sources you shared with us, articles, some research papers, notes, basically trying to pull out the key insights. Our mission today is pretty straightforward.
Right.
Let's cut through the noise and focus on what these specific sources are actually telling us about UAPs. What are the facts presented, and what are the big, maybe unanswered questions?
Sounds good. And, one of the first things the sources mention is that shift from UFO to UAP.
Right.
It wasn't just changing letters. The sources suggest it was a deliberate move, partly to lessen the stigma.
Make it sound a bit more serious, maybe. Less little green men.
Exactly. And broaden the scope. It's not just about flying saucers, but anything in the air or even underwater. Sometimes that seems anomalous. But, well, the core mystery is still there, isn't it? What are these things?
Okay, and this is where the material we looked at gets really interesting. Because it's moved beyond just like fuzzy lights in the distance.
Definitely.
We're talking accounts, often from really credible people, experienced military pilots, for instance, describing objects doing things that seem, well, frankly impossible based on technology we know about.
That's a key takeaway from the sources. The performance characteristics they describe are astonishing.
Like what specifically?
Well, think about maneuvers that just defy physics as we understand it. Sudden right-angle turns at incredible speeds.
Without slowing down.
Apparently. Or doing these J-hooks, or, get this, reports of objects just staying perfectly stationary, rock solid, even in, Category 4 hurricane winds.
Staying still in hurricane winds.
That's what's reported. And then, from that dead stop, instantly accelerating away, sometimes to supersonic speeds like Mach 1.1, Mach 1.2, erratically.
Wow. And the sources mentioned the Tic Tac object, right? That's a famous one.
Yes, heavily featured. Described as dropping, I think, from over 80,000 feet down to 20,000 almost instantly.
Whoa.
And then shooting right back up. Just extreme acceleration from zero. And the crucial part, mentioned again and again in these sources.
Let me guess. No engines.
Exactly. No visible means of propulsion. No wings, no rotors you'd see on a helicopter, no thermal exhaust signature you'd expect. That's a huge puzzle.
And they don't all look like Tic Tacs, do they?
Not at all. The appearances described are all over the place. Dark cubes seen inside clear spheres.
Weird.
The perfect white, seamless Tic Tac shape, yes. But also reports of things like a massive 100-yard red square.
A flying red square.
According to some reports. And it's not just how they move or look. They seem to interact with our technology.
How so?
The sources detail instances where UAPs apparently jam sophisticated radar systems, like the APG-73 radar on an F-18 fighter jet.
So the pilot couldn't get a lock.
Made targeting impossible, according to the reports, and even claims of disabling other sensors, collection systems on aircraft.
Okay, so you've got objects pulling off impossible physics, looking bizarre, and actively messing with advanced military tech. So the sources must ask, what on earth could these be?
They definitely explore the possibilities, and, the most common explanation discussed is probably the simplest misidentification.
Sure. People seeing things they don't recognize.
Right. Normal stuff. Conventional aircraft may be seen at odd angles, drones are everywhere now, weather balloons, satellites passing overhead, even natural things like weird clouds. Lenticular clouds can look like disks or bright planets like Venus.
Okay, that covers a lot of sightings probably.
The vast majority. Then there's the concern, mentioned in the sources, about advanced technology from other countries.
So secret drones or aircraft from rivals.
That's definitely on the table as a potential explanation for some sightings. And then you have the category of sort of unknown natural phenomena, things in the atmosphere we just don't understand yet.
And the ET possibility.
And yes, the sources do mention the possibility of non-human origin. They reference some witness claims, sometimes quite high level, suggesting recovery of non-human craft or even biologics.
Biologics, like actual organic material.
That's the implication in some claims, but it's really crucial to add what officials are saying, as noted in the material. People like the director of ARO, the Pentagon's UAP office, and NASA officials state clearly. They have found no credible evidence so far that points to extraterrestrial activity.
Okay, so far, being the operative words there for some people, I guess.
Yeah.
But why is it so hard to get definitive answers? The sources must touch on that.
Oh, absolutely. They highlight some major barriers. A big one is simply stigma.
People afraid to talk about it.
Deeply. Pilots, military folks, even academics, they worry about being ridiculed, damaging their careers if they report seeing something strange.
Yeah, I can see that.
And related to that, there's a lack of good standardized reporting systems, particularly outside the military. Think commercial airline pilots. Who do they report to easily and without fuss?
Good point. So potential data is just lost.
Likely. And then there's the whole issue of classification, secrecy. A lot of data, especially military sensor data, is classified.
Which means scientists can't study it, and the public doesn't know, right?
Exactly. It fuels mistrust and keeps potentially vital information locked away. Makes it very hard to get a clear picture.
But it's not all hurdles, is it? The sources seem to indicate things are changing.
Yes, definitely. The good news, highlighted in the material, is that the topic is being taken much more seriously now, especially by the U.S. government and parts of the scientific community.
How so?
Well, the government has officially acknowledged UAPs are real phenomena needing investigation. You have dedicated bodies like the Pentagon's ARO office and NASA actively studying them, trying to be central points for data collection.
And science is getting involved too.
Yeah, initiatives like Harvard's Galileo project are specifically trying to collect high-quality, unambiguous scientific data using their own instruments, bringing it into the mainstream. And there's real pressure from some in Congress, and researchers too, pushing for more transparency, better reporting using modern tech.
Okay, so there's movement. Now, wrapping this up, why does this matter? Beyond just curiosity, what are the implications here, according to these sources?
The sources frame this primarily through two lenses: national security and flight safety.
Makes sense. If you have unidentified objects flying around, especially near military areas or interacting with aircraft.
Exactly. That's a flight safety risk, obviously. And if these objects really can outperform anything we have and seem interested in our military capabilities or infrastructure, well, that raises clear national security questions. Are they reconnaissance probes? From who?
And the sources mentioned alleged aggressive behavior sometimes.
Some reports touch on that, yes, or close encounters or particular interest shown in sensitive nuclear sites, for example. It all adds to the concern.
So, putting it all together for you listening, we're dealing with a really complex phenomenon. There's compelling testimony and data suggesting something unusual is happening, but our understanding is severely limited by patchy data, long-standing stigma, and government secrecy, even as official efforts to investigate are ramping up.
That sums it up well. We've taken a deep dive into what your sources say about the characteristics, the possible origins, and the very real challenges in figuring out what UAPs are.
It's definitely not simple, and clearly not settled. So here's a final thought, a provocative question for you to mull over based on what we discussed from these sources.
Okay.
Given these descriptions of UAP capabilities potentially way beyond our tech, and the genuine concerns about flight safety and national security, how much does that lack of standardized, open reporting, combined with the walls of classification, truly hinder our ability to understand what we're dealing with, to potentially respond if needed? What crucial insights might we be completely missing right now because of those barriers?
Something to think about. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
We hope this breakdown of the source material helps shed some light on this really compelling and still very mysterious subject.